Hello.
Lee, you there? Good man.
Well, how's it going?
Not so bad. Yourself?
Hi, dead on, thanks.
Good man. Appreciate you jumping on. Tots will join us in a wee second here, and we can crack on.
No bother.
Good man.
Is this microphone not working all right, is it?
It is. It sounds good, actually. You sound very clear.
Happy days. I was panicking. What do you call it? I lost my AirPods, and frig's sake, what do you call it? I was hooking around, for the standard ones you get with the iPhone. But
I'm the same. I'm actually plugged in here tonight. Normally I have a pair of AirPods, but 13-year-old daughter took hold of them and
tell you the truth, I don't know what I've done with mine. I'm actually panicking. I think I've bent it with my lunch, eating in the car or whatever. And
well, I didn't. I was thinking about going to the van to have a nosy there, but I ended up getting lost in the mess that is the van. So I stuck.
How you been keeping?
Stuck with the plugins. Good. I'm enjoying doing this. To be honest with you, it keeps me out of trouble.
It's good. I've been listening to a couple of them there over the last since I knew I was going to be doing it. Enjoyed Conor McNallen's.
Yes, Connor's has been very well received now. Connor even himself says he felt like it was a bit of a therapy session for him. When you reminisce and look back, it's not just as bad or bleak as you think.
He really opened up, didn't he?
He did. Sure, you'll do the same, no doubt. No pressure. But it's a bit of fun, Lee. The crack yourself. Like, you've been playing football a long time. You've encountered a lot of good people, so it's nice to talk about it. There's Igor Biscan entered the live studio.
That's him.
As I say, it was a lockdown thing for me. Just sort of lost with something to do, and obviously football is the easy thing to talk about.
That's it. Sure, you get a crowd of boys together, you talk for hours.
Exactly. We'll see. Is he live? Tots will bring the humour now.
He getting a fine for being late.
That's exactly. Late again.
50p.
Just like an entrance.
50p in the tin.
How are you, Tots?
Not too bad. What about you, Lee?
Thanks very much. Been dreading this all day. I feel like I'm being brought in for questioning, but
Not at all. As I say, I'm glad you were free to jump on. I know Tots had lined it up a wee while ago, so.
Apologies, I couldn't get on last week. It was my birthday.
That's a good excuse.
What age are you, Lee? That was the first thing I was going to ask you.
38 pound.
38. I knew you were a few years younger than me.
It's desperate. Doesn't belong catching up.
Not at all. Well, me and Tots played football yesterday, so we feel every bit of our age there.
Did you?
We're playing for the over 35. Played St. Mary's.
Rich, you don't say that. You just tell them we're still playing for Oxford Sunnyside.
We are the old fellas.
Is that who the over 35 team is?
Pretty much.
Probably is. I think because Lurgan Town, they're talking about getting one going there. I think they're actually starting on Wednesday night.
Right, very good.
But the last time I done it, last time I stripped out for them just a wee training session. Some boys just have no stress relief at home. They just absolutely wail into you, like. Unbelievable.
There's one or two of them at training as well. Naming no names.
But here, Richie, what about when those pictures? We had a fella, Ryan Lee, at the match yesterday taking pictures.
Right.
And they were taking a few shots of, not that we can't really talk, but some of the St. Mary's boys. There was a fella, what's his name, Richie? You said you knew him?
Oh, Tom Mallon, was it? Yeah, Tom.
What age would he be?
He must have been near 70.
Oh, he's the chairman over here, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Was he playing?
He came on and played. He played the last 20 minutes. He had an open goal and he fluffed his lines, but
I don't think our winger got past him once. I'm near 70. And Harry Fay, he was playing.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of hanging up the boots, to be honest with you. Unless we get an over 40s team maybe set up.
It has to be an age cap on it then, but he's just taking a piss out. He'd be scundered for life.
Here we played the Northern Ireland veterans, and we started the game, 50-40%, go easy boys, we've got work in the morning, dead on. The fuckers went 1-0 up after 5 minutes.
Terry Nicholson, he does the nets for them.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I see Seamus Heath putting a whole load of stuff up about it, and then we lad there from Bonbridge, Terry Damon, he played strip out the odd time as well. They can knock a ball about, like.
Oh, they can. As I said, they had us. They give us, come into our changing room and told us, boys, go easy on us. No wild tackles, no nothing. Frick's sake, we're only wild fellas here, And then with a wee glint in their eye, they went out and showed us how to play football. So it's sick.
Class.
But good sport. Listen, Lee, we'll get straight into it.
No bother.
So, as I say, we'll start from from the beginning pretty much, and then we'll rattle through and say Tats is different elements he wants to chat about, and then we have the Wheel of Burba. You say you've listened to the concept before. You were listening to Conor McAnallen, so we'll talk about something controversial.
Right.
And we'll finish up with our Keepie Uppies questions.
No bother.
So straight into it, who and which team, which player and which team have you drawn your inspiration from as a young boy?
Well, see, to be honest, my family always would have had good interest in football. My granddad, he would have took me to the football early doors, and his brother, he actually played for Arsenal and Chelsea, Bill Dickson, right, and they played for Northern Ireland and all as well. But they all lived down in Victoria Street growing up and stuff. This was back in their day, like, and my Uncle Bill, every time he would have called in, he would have been telling us stories about training back in the day. They would have played for Sunnyside, the real good youth team.
Yes,
and a whole lot of them boys got scouted across the water and stuff. And my granddad's brother, he actually went across the water to Notts County, and then he ended up going from Notts County in a part exchange for Tom Lawton, who was quite a famous footballer back then, like. But after his whole career and all that there carry on, I had only been a young fella, like, and he had been calling in. My granddad was a big pigeon man at the time, and it was always football. I was always going on about football, and he was taking us out to the backyard, and my granddad was kicking with him, and he would have been kicking with the wally boots and all on, like, and just really showing you up, doing kick-ups, for hours on end, just knocking a ball about, like, so my dad, he was always, in and around Mid-Ulster football. My Uncle Willie, he would have played a bit of football as well there for likes of Bonbridge Town and Lurgan Institute and all them teams, and it was just always sort of ingrained into me to go down that route of playing football, like. But if you're asking me about teams, supporting growing up and stuff, unfortunately I'm a Newcastle supporter.
Unfortunately
for my sins, but things are looking up, like. But it would always have been like like Alan Shearer and stuff. You would have seen them boys on the box, like. You would have really enjoyed watching them.
Mm-hmm.
A blonde bombshell goal scorer reminds me of somebody in their youth. What?
I'm telling you, but definitely just a different class altogether, like. It's just one of them wee things, and then you go along to the boys clubs and get involved. Obviously, at the start it was with Lurgan Town, and you just bothering around there with mates. You're not even thinking about where you're going with football. You're just thinking about turning up and having a crack with your mates, under 11, under 12, and just really enjoying life.
Absolutely. So give us a rundown then of that junior time at Lurgan Town. Was it Lurgan Town your first club?
Yeah, Lurgan Town. It would have been. I remember Ernie Greenaway would have been our manager way back then, and then you would have went right through them. And Stevie, the Stevie Greenaway, Alfie Greenaway, his nickname would have been. A fella there that helps me at the minute with the coaching. It's his dad, Jeff Greenaway. It's his dad that was actually our manager. But yeah, it was just the trips down to Lisburn and on the bus every Saturday, and just really enjoying it. And it started out as a right back. That tell you the truth, I didn't really enjoy it. The back line did not appeal to me whatsoever. Less stress as you go up the pitch, and even I was at that age. So I was playing. Remember, I was always playing on the wing for my primary school, Carrick, and we had quite a good, successful school team then. But there was better players in the positions, at Lurgan Town and stuff, and ended up having to jump ship for a period of time over to a place, St. Patrick, over in just before you come to Bridge.
Yeah.
And we had a real good team there. Like I'm not too sure. John, you've probably heard of John McAreevy. He would have been married to we call her Michaela, the girl. Mickey Hart's daughter.
Yes.
They all them boys. Scott McCordick, Keith McCordick, Graham McDowell, or not Graham McDowell, Ian McDowell. We had a really good team over there and a good bond. And Davy Dawson, who's the current Mindwell manager.
Yes.
His dad, Davy Senior, he would have took us. Him and a guy, Nigel Dodge, and just great. Really took off. I wasn't enjoying my football at the time at Lurgan Town. You were in and out of the team and what, and it was just regular football you were getting in over at St. Patrick, and it was really enjoyable. And we got into a couple of cup finals and things like that, and it was just something I really enjoyed. It was just a period of time, under 13, under 14, I just really loved. And then obviously the travelling got too much. Just going over there, with parents and stuff working, and dad doing shifts and stuff, and then my granddad, he sort of took a wee bit ill at the time. He had a bit of bronchitis and stuff like that, and it was just putting a bit of pressure on him, so came a wee bit closer to home, and went to a wee place there in Moira Albion. At the time, a fella that was working with my dad at the time was running it. Pilly, you call him, Pilly Hamilton. He was a very good footballer back in his day around the Lurgan scene, like. But he took it like, and to tell you the truth, it was a whipping every week. I mean, it was when we stepped out and you were playing the teams that were getting thumped 15 and 16. It was sort of that material, like. But we ended up, we got a couple of players in, and we sort of turned it around, But as the years went on, I only was there for about a year or so, and then when we got to round about under 15, it was only there for maybe a year, I'd say, at Moira, and then back into Lurgan Town under Davy Greenaway, who unfortunately passed away there on Monday of this week. I could speak later on in the podcast about him,
Absolutely,
but top class manager, like, and he was sort of the guy that really got you thinking about football, because you're at that period in your football where you're coming into 15, 16-year-old, and you're starting to think, wee possessions, wee bits off the ball, and you're not just focused on yourself. You're more focused about the team and be passages of plays and things like that. And he brought in some class coaches, a fella Quinn from Newry, and his son. He would have brought a whole load of them down, and a couple of the Newry players would always come down. And there was, in fact, you had the guy on the podcast there a while ago, Mullen, the Newry manager, Darren. Well, his brother, I think it was Neil.
Neil, that's right.
Nanny, he would have got nickname.
Yes, yeah.
He was in our team, and we had some team, like, and we signed, and I was playing up front that year, and very good. With Shankill at the time, we're just ripping everything up in that league. And we went and challenged them then that year. Unfortunately, we came up short, but we had a real good team. Like, I think this was under 15, under 16 with Davy Scullion playing.
Yeah,
not a bad player.
And then he went across the water. He left us mid-season, I think. Went over to Villa.
Yeah,
I think it was.
That's right.
What he called Mark Turkington. He played for Glenavon and Armagh City and stuff. He was our left back, and Big Foxy was the keeper.
Yeah,
Kieran, and no, it was good. I really enjoyed my youth football. I have to say, right up to under 16, it was terribly enjoyable. Like,
yeah. So you were a few years younger than us, and I do remember, there was, you were on the end of people's, people were chatting about you, as a goal scorer and scoring goals at that level, and making headlines.
No, it was definitely good. It's far easier. I tell you that it's far easier in a good team. Like, it definitely is. It's if you're in the wrong team at them sort of age, you sort of just get lost, and it's not enjoyable. And I can definitely see why players, young kids just walk away, from football, disheartened and stuff like. But definitely if you can get into a good team, it's half the battle. Like.
Oh, it helps a whole lot. But in fairness, you did reference going to more Albion and getting a kick, getting a hiding every week. But they talked about this before, but building resilience and learning how to lose and then really enjoying when you're winning.
It makes the wins. It made the wins a wee bit sweeter. Now I have to say, and it did build character because nobody wants to be going out and getting the thumping, and whether it was a year, you're only taking a year's hit there, like and but I sort of became a better player for it, because if you were having good performances, you were sort of standing out in the team, and I think that's where Davy, they'd always have played us like, and what would have been at the start of the season, would have been thumpings. We're going to school with all these boys, and obviously they just said, "Well, get him back there, sure." And he could do a job up front for us, like So, okay, it was very, very enjoyable because we had Joey Rooney would have helped, and the two of them would have been sort of good cop, bad cop at Lurgan Town at the time, and Davy would have bought you up, but Joe would have told you the truth. And unbelievable. I was talking to him there at Davy's funeral there the other day, and he says, "Just took years off my life, lads." He says, a crowd of us were standing. He just says, "You ruined me." He says, "I was going home." He says, "Cracking up." He says, "For under 16 football," and he says, "Because weren't getting results." He says, "Unbelievable."
Breaking his own heart. Yeah, I know. And then I was talking. Who was I was talking to? Mark McCann previously, and like you're talking about coaches that had coached you at that age, where they can leave an impression with you, and you're now doing that at that age. You're their age now, and you're applying that to your team.
That's it.
So you'll take a lot of lessons from them guys.
That's it. And the main thing that I learned from the likes of Davy and stuff was, you just have to have that compassionate side too, with players, because the players aren't going to play every week, but they have to, you need to know when to put the arm around them and say, explain to them and make them feel a part of it. At the end of the day, you can't just go out every week with 11 men. It is a squad game, and definitely the lessons that would be the mainstay of why I actually got into the football coaching would have been the likes of Davy, because just he was a real good guy, and just really inspired you to do well. He just really, you would have run through brick walls for him, and that was only at under 15, 16, like.
Yeah.
Just the way he come across to people, like.
No, brilliant. Great football man, and say we can share a few other stories later on.
Sure.
So up to under 16, it was Lurgan Town.
Yep.
And then what kicks on then after that as you get into your formidable years?
I'll tell you, helped Sturdy Gordon. I'm sure you all know him, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably waiting on football kits for him for about 3 years. But he was running the under 18s at the time, and Saturday mornings we were always doing double shifts, from under 16 right up to under 18s. You were playing in the morning, then you were going to play in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And that's what cracks me up these days. Like, we say to our youth players about maybe doing a wee double shift, like, and they're looking at you going, "Me?"
Yeah,
I remember.
I'm the same. I remember we were at Portadown playing for Sunnyside in the morning and Portadown in the afternoon, and tins of Red Bull just to get you through the second game. Red Bull was only invented back then.
Honestly, I don't have the beef that I have on me now, like, because you were going out sometimes there. I remember he used to ring. Sturdy was running the under 18 team, and he always would have turned around the next morning and asked you what happened in Fraser Crane. Do you remember it? Does a show?
Yes.
What happened in it? And you always had to get there before him to find out. You always found, because us boys were someone, in the time at the time we were only growing up, like, we were going to the coach on the Friday night and rolling up with a cozy warm soda, and right, who watched Fraser? And you see, there's a couple of weeks there nobody watched it, and you were absolutely screwed. He just went through us for a shortcut, like. But we played there up to, well, it was 2 years at under 18, obviously after under 16, and it was brilliant because you were playing with older boys in the first year, and then you become the older fella
Yes.
You know, and the good players running around there at that time. I don't know why you know him, Stephen White, Whitey, centre midfielder, with dreadlocks and stuff, and but such a character, like you know, just any time you were playing, you know, you were looking at him not to kick off, you know, because he just railed every other team up, like, and but we come across then at the time, when we moved up to under 18, it started to become, you know, rivalry. You know, there was never really much of a rivalry when you were playing for Lurgan Town, because it was always down in the Lisburn leagues, and at the time, bar Sunnyside maybe, there wasn't really any team from Lurgan. Your rivals were Portadown, and then when you got up to under 18, then Institute started a team, Institute Colts, and there were a spin-off boys from Lurgan Town, and that just created a complete war on a Saturday morning. Like, when am I playing them? When am I playing them? And it wasn't the likes of, you were playing the likes of Lurgan Celtic, and all they had, you know, some class players playing, you know, back then, like, and but you always looked out for the Lurgan Institute, Lurgan Town, Lurgan Institute. It was just like the battle of the park, like, it was class.
Oh, that's it.
But
nothing better than kicking your friends.
It definitely was. Boy, I had my cousin and all, Chris Banks. He was playing centre half for Institute, boy, and we used to kick the lining out of each other just for 90 minutes. It was class. Really, really, I loved it. Like, just at under 18 was just, you were becoming a man then, and you were into the senior football, you know. But at the time, we had a decent team, and I got selected for the Middlester Select squad, to go over to Scotland, and me and a fella, Lee Allen, who was playing for Lurgan at the time. Lurgan Celtic didn't have any representatives that year. I think, tell you the truth, I think Foxy was supposed to go. He was playing for Lurgan Celtic at the time. I think it was under 18s he played, but I think he got injured. But we went over there anyway, and played the Scotch FA at our United's ground. But we stayed in this real swanky hotel. It was class. It was some experience, you know, because you never really had any experience of this up to this stage, you know. I heard Connor talking about, you know, how they went over on trial and stuff, but realistically, like, anybody who was going over on trial wouldn't have been playing our under 18 football at that stage. Like, you know, they'd have been over at the likes of Glenavon and Portadown, you know, coming back, like, you know. So we were just a you know, select bunch going over to represent the Middlester and stuff, like, you know. So it was really good. They put us up in a real swanky hotel and gave us a tour of Hampden, and but the only thing, the guy that was the manager of the team at the time was a guy, Stevie Brown. He played Irish League for the likes of Cliftonville and stuff, but he was the manager of Donegal Celtic at the time.
Right.
And when you're the manager of the team, you're obviously going to bring a lot of your players that you know yourself. Well, I was going over there completely green, like, you know, the Scotland, and there we were stuck in a hotel with 6 or 7 boys from Andytown, and I have never ever encountered anything like it in my life. You know, like, we're going down on the match day, and down in reception, and the manager and the assistant managers losing their mind at the reception. Why is there somebody got access into our room? They went to the toilet in his kettle and boiled while he was in the shower. And the whole room was absolutely putrid. It was stinking. And then the wee assistant, I can't remind his name, but he was just like, you know, he reminded you of Sammy Lee, you know, it used to be assistant manager at Liverpool. And he was running around like a live wire boy, and they had done the same to his trouser press, you know, for his presentation suit. He rocked up in his tracksuit bottoms and the shirt and tie, you know, the shirt and tie and these tracksuit bottoms on, and we had to go down, you know, the bus had to stop to get him a pair of trousers, a pair of slacks out of you know, just some random shop, because them our ones were just totally destroyed. Meanwhile, the hotel's going mental, going to kick us out because what's happened? They totally wrecked the trouser press on a kettle, you know. But some of them just animals, you know, like, and
Oh,
but
dear.
you can't help but look back and laugh. At the time, you were just going, "Oh my goodness, what
have I done?
I just encountered?"
As you say, just boys on a jolly there, like, you know.
Unreal. Them
Football
boys,
secondary.
like, I don't think them, but that was their first holiday, and I can guarantee it's their last. There's no way. There's no chance they're leaving
They
their
weren't
country
thinking about
again.
the
Like,
football too often.
no chance, no way.
Probably the first time out of Belfast.
Unbelievable. 100%. I remember one of them went on. I remember meeting him whenever I was playing for Portadown reserves. Fella Stevie Curley. He's actually playing for Lisburn Distillery there quite recently. But
Right, very good.
But I remember saying to him about it, like, he just goes, "I know what." He's just like, "What the hell were we at back then?" Like, you know. And the guy, there was one sensible fella of it, a guy, Collie Riordan, I think his name is, Colin Riordan, but he's actually the captain of Maculata
Right,
at the
yes.
minute, and you know they obviously have quite a good team now, like, you know, but so it's good to see, you know, that you can check on them boys, you know, you can see where they've played, you know, since then, like, you know, and that's good 18, 20 years ago, like, you know, but they're still cropping up, like, but the rest of them, I don't know, they're definitely inside. 100%.
Hear me.
Desperate altogether. But yeah, no, the wee Mid Ulster Select trip was brilliant. You know, it was class. You know, I really enjoyed it, and we came home, and unfortunately, Donegal Celtic won the league that year. Real tight, real tight competition was at Lurgan Town, like, and we ended up finishing runner up, unfortunately. But yeah, and then the youth players were starting to get blooded then into the senior setup. Titch Clark was running us at the time. Real good footballer around Lurgan as well, and he was still playing a bit, you know. And
Titch has the two sons, the twins, has he?
He's the two twins, Matthew and Davy. One's a keeper, one's a centre half, but the whole Clark family were all good footballers, like, at the time, you know, and they were decent. He was decent. He was a football man, like, and he just, you know, what I went through you, like, you know. Like, I try to tell them boys are then coaching her at the minute. He says, like, you don't know tough love, like, you really don't. These are the snowflake generation, like, because you raise your voice at all, you know, they look at you, like, and you actually feel them welling up, and you're like, man, imagine you were playing 20 years ago, like.
I know, bring me.
Yeah. But no, it was good, and then I think when we got promoted into the first division, I think he was the manager. I think he was the manager thing. Yeah, he was, and then the ball started to get rolling for them going into intermediate football.
Yeah,
I think they're only maybe there for maybe 2 or 3 years, I think, and then they took the plunge and went up to intermediate football. So yeah, it was good to be a part of all that too, like.
Fantastic. Again, what did you not move across? Who did you move across from Lurgan Town briefly?
Well, I went from Lurgan Town. My uncle phoned me one day, and he says, Neville Kerr, who was manager of Dramar at the time, and he says, listen, he needs a centre forward. He says, would you be interested in going up? And we were playing intermediate B at the time, and I says, look, there's no. I'll go over and see what they're about. So I remember playing a pre-season friendly against them, against Linfield. It was Linfield Reserves team, and we ended up beating them and scored. And he says, right, well, he says, we're looking to sign you. So I signed that night, and I didn't really think, the travel or anything. I didn't think any of that. Yeah. But at the time, all I just seen was, they're giving you a free pair of boots here, and they were looking to sign, and they had a decent outfit. Dramar, I don't know whether the 2 years have ever been up there. You probably have, but it's a great setup. And we had the physio that night. I was sort of struggling, a wee bit of fatigue and stuff, and he was giving you the muscle rubs and stuff, like Basil, you called him. He ended up going on to be their chairman, and great guy, and what do you call it? But they've always sort of had sort of a connection to Lurgan, like, you know, like Jared McMahon would have been up there.
That's right.
Coaching and stuff, like. But at the time, the guy was lifting me in St. Patrick, coincidentally. He was lifting me there and bringing me back, and then I was getting a lift from there. But it just all got, you know, I was only playing. I literally had only played maybe 10 games for them. And what do you call it? Then I was on the move, Portadown had phoned and said they wanted me to come over and play for them against Institute. So we were playing at Shamrock Park, and obviously signed. They said, "You look, we want you to be a part of it. We've a good reserve team here, and see what you think." So we stripped out. I stripped out that day, and I always remember it. Clear as day. I remember going over. My dad, my uncle, brought me over. But I think I'd done something that morning, the way my dad up, like, but he just let on me, like, but so we sort of had a bit of an argument going over to that match, like, and I went out and, just with pure anger, of what had just happened, like, but I ended up having a blinder, so I scored 2 on the debut, and I remember Scott McCordick was playing up front with me, and he was just seen as golden balls over there, like, he was the next big thing that they wanted to push through. And Trevor Williamson was the assistant, and Barry McCullough was the manager, and I was sitting on 2 goals and he was sitting on 1, and he got a penalty, and they shouted on to him to give me the ball, and McFall was in the stand. Oh, flip me. I set that ball down on that penalty spot and trickled it into the keeper's hands. I don't even think he did. He just walked across and lifted it. I don't know what happened, but I just totally fluffed it. And but played a good part of that season. And enjoyed the football over there. And obviously, when you're at sort of like an Irish League club, at reserve level and stuff, you start to. There's obviously a bit more pressure to your football, like, but you learn more. Yeah. You definitely learn more about the ins and outs of the side of the game. It's a different level than Mid-Ulster football. You sort of learn your stripes in Mid-Ulster, but you definitely learn the technical side of it and at the Irish League side of it, like, for sure.
And again, no snowflakes in Barry McCullough's changing room either.
No. Don't. I remember we were up. Funny, we went and played Institute in the return leg up there. Yeah. And we had a real great team. Philly Craig was playing, Neil Allardyce, Ollie Wilson, who's a Rafaela manager, Chris Lindsay, what do you call it? Mark Hamilton was playing, and wee Nuggy, Brian Pentland. Yeah. And we had a keeper, Collie Gribben, who was playing for Dromore just before that. He ended up going back to Dromore anyway, but well, the whole talk was we had got this trialist had been brought over with an interpreter, gay, and I happened to call him Ronaldo, right? So obviously he was not
sign him.
Obviously he was not the Ronaldo, like, or the fat one, but this guy was Brazilian. And I remember Jeff Greenaway was with me. He was playing at the time as well. He was playing right back for Portadown at the time, and we were up there, and next thing, Trevor wouldn't go over and do the line. In the reserve matches, you always had to send one of your coaches, the way a team sent that coach around the other side to do the line. Trevor wouldn't go, and Barry definitely wouldn't go. And what he called, so they sent his translator, Gilberto. I'm telling you now, they sent him round, right? So Ronaldo was playing there, and he didn't know one bit of English because the translator was on the other sideline. Barry couldn't get the message across. So he was running around like a headless chicken, and the whole half-time team talk. Boys were just, that you're trying to be serious, but inside you're killing yourself. He was like, effing tell him, Gilberto, effing tell him. And I looked up, and Williamson was pissing himself. He actually had to leave the change room. And boys were just killing themselves. Like, this boy, we were expecting massive things. This boy, Gilberto, or Ronaldo, Brazilian fella, he's class. And he was absolute shit. But he was absolutely terrible. And them paying for a translator, to be with him, and they were putting him up in some wee flat and Portadown and all, and him with you to playing for the first team, and there's no way he kicked leather for that first team. There's no chance. But and the rain was pelting down. It was comical. Like, there's some good moments with Portadown reserves, like, but it was definitely good. And then I started to pick up the injuries. Broke my foot pre-season friendly. It was in the round with the first team at the time.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the quality. It was they were bringing boys in to fill out the the benches really. And I remember we went down. Gary Hamilton would have been there playing up front with Vinnie Arkins, and they had a real class team. And Keith O'Hara, I'm very very friendly with him. He was playing at the time, and Timmy or what do you call him, Mickey Collins was playing.
Yeah,
and
they kicked you.
Oh Jesus, what? And Kieran Harden, I remember we were supposed to go down to. We were playing Dundalk down there, and they gave us a real licking, like a real tanking, because they had just went full time at the stage, and they gave us a real licking anyway in pre-season. And like fall, that's the only time I've ever been afraid in a change room. Was he kicked off that day, because he had been building a team that wanted to, challenge for trophies, and they were playing summer league at the time, and they were just in full flow, like they were doing us a favour of playing us a friendly, like, and he just went absolutely berserk, like, and he sort of put the shits up me. I was like, what the frig, imagine him giving you the hairdryer treatment, like, but it was good to see at the time, and you see all them big names sitting in the change room. You were just there to fill out the the team sheet, like, and but it was just to see them all sitting like wee lambs, for somebody of that reputation. Just you can see whenever he walked into the change room, that was just it. You knew silence and just listen to what you were told, like. But
again, he had such a long career. He was formidable as well. Him
unbelievable. Like, I don't think there'll ever be anybody like
that. I think style of management doesn't exist anymore. But
no chance. But was he not the longest serving in the whole of?
He was. I think he outlasted Ferguson, didn't he?
I think he did. But he was definitely.
And what was he like, Lee? For those of us that obviously he's going down as a legend, but was he tactics? Was he just a real motivator?
Well, from what I gathered of it at the time was I was only in and around that team, in and around that first team, for pre-season friendlies. It was never league matches or anything like that. I never made any appearances that way. But he was just, he expected, them players knew how to play football, and it was more of he was just fine tuning really. All his work was done on the thing. Kieran Harden was his assistant coach at the time, and he was an unbelievable coach, like, and Trevor would have been dipping in and helping and stuff, and it was just it was a good situation to be around, and he obviously, the young players, they just looked up to him at the time. I think that was whenever I was there, sort of the start of the whole fallout with Hammy at the time, Gary Hamilton. Sort of, I think he was sort of playing up a bit, and Ronnie didn't really like it. A couple of sessions in pre-season, they would have been at each other's throat, like, but it's just mad because you would never have seen any of that there sort of stuff, reported or anything, like, but it's just what goes on, that's just, it happens with me, at training there now, you have it out with players, and it's just the way it is,
Yeah.
But definitely it was definitely a big character. But my mum would manage up SDKs up the town there, and he was always in, speaking to Keith O'Hara, and very very good. He's a great lad. I can't speak highly enough of Keith. Like, he got me into the coaching over at Portadown and stuff, and we run the team and all together. Like, and he's just a real great guy. Like, but Ronnie would always have been in, and he would have been talking to a real nice fella, like, away from football, like, but just had that bit of reputation, with it. So
that's it.
No, it was definitely good now.
It was funny you saying that them getting caught out by Ronaldo. Richie got caught out by when he was manager of Oxford First by Canu's cousin. What do you call him again? Matthew, was it?
Please retract that statement. That was Fred that was caught out, not me.
I thought it was you.
Nope, not me. Fred and Harry signed Matthew, this 6'2" specimen who Didn't
Nigeria.
know one left foot from his right foot. He was no Hoover, I'll tell you that.
Could he play at all? No,
He was
Not
absolutely
even an
awful.
ounce. I think he might have been a good basketball player, but certainly not football.
I swear, I've had a couple of them there up at Lurgan Town, like, and they always offer you themselves, like they're turning around there saying, "Oh well, hey, can I come down and play or try out?" And the alarm bells just go with me now, because at the start I was so gullible. I was like, "Oh, this place sounds like a player," and if they're offering themselves to you, they're crap. It's just that's just the way it is,
Well, to be honest with you, poor Matthew, he was just standing on the sideline watching. And Fred and Harry made the beeline for him. But here, boy, do you play a bit of football, do you? He looked like a footballer from a distance, but that was it.
Harry wouldn't sign anybody like that, would he? Some crack.
Oh,
very
dear.
good, very good.
I can understand, though, how, they got caught out by Ronaldo, but like Matthew from Nigeria, you're thinking,
it's not really working, is it?
No, doesn't have the same ring.
Brilliant.
So, Lee, tie us down with the rest of your playing career, and then Tots will take you on through to your management career.
Yeah, what do you call it? Then whenever I went from Portdown, I broke my foot a couple of times, actually 3 times. I kept breaking it, and they didn't pin it or anything, and I was just disheartened. I was sick of being in an island moon boot and cast, and I ended up. I just said I took a bit of time out. Maybe 6 months after the injury, I was told stop rushing it back. But at that time, you weren't getting any proper physio or anything, and you were just trying to rush back. You were eager just to get back on the football pitch, and but it was good. We went and I got myself fit again, and I ended up Jackie, Gary Duke. He was he started that wee project out in Donaldstown, and it was a good team, and I just fancied it, because at the time we had sort of peaked as a team with Lurgan Town. We beat Banbridge Town up at Moorview Park, scored in that match, and then we played Dungannon in the quarter final of the Mid-Ulster Cup up at Dungannon, and we lost on penalties, and it was just a case of, right, I don't think we're going to top how far we've went in them cup competitions, so I'll give it a go out at Donaldstown. So I went out there as a centre forward, and we played well. We got a couple of cup finals. We got the Marshall Cup final. Hanover beat us in it. We got to the Premier Cup final, and Warren Point at the time were starting to go through the motions of going through the leagues. It was always a real ding dong watching them, and it was, to be fair, Jiggy built a good team out there. Like, this was the first time I was out, and this was me playing outfield. He had a real good team. He had Lossy playing, who's playing for Hill Street there at the minute. Real quality left foot. And there was wee Derek Shaw playing, Lynchy, Sturdy Pollen was playing, and Wellesley, Alan Wells was playing. He was scoring goals for fun. It was just a real good mix of players, and we all got along, and we all tapped into what Jiki was doing. And if you get into the cup finals in the first couple of years, there's always good things on the horizon, like. And we got promoted then to Intermediate A, and like there was no struggle. That's the only club that I can say they never really struggled, because they had the backing of wanting to do well. They wanted to turn around and make that club. That was Hubert's child, like, he just wanted that club to do so well, and next thing you seen the thing starting to change. We were getting changed up on a pig farm, with a 2-mile walk to the pitch, like, but on Gregsy's farm, and that's no word of a lie. Like, you were getting changed, and the pigs were grunting next door. Like, it was ridiculous. But next thing, you always seen the wee thing starting to form. The pitch started to get better. Then the clubhouse started to get brought down, to the clubhouse, the change room started to get moved down around the pitch. And from then it just went boom. It really did. They really started playing good football, and they started to be noticed. And then I can't remember. I had a hernia. I got a hernia injury, and I had to get it operated on. And at the time, I'd went in the nets a couple of times for Jiggy, and he said, "Look, could you help me out? I know you done a bit of keeping when you were younger." So I went in the nets and dead on. Like I don't mind doing keeper, because you weren't. It wasn't. It was never the Alamo against you, like, because they're always a half decent team, like, So, but when I got the hernia, it sort of knocked the stuffing out of me, and my mates were all playing at the Institute at the time and loving it. And I made the mistake of, when I was injured, I wasn't going to watch Dallonstown because my mates weren't there. I was going to watch the Institute, because my mates were all there, and they started to plant the seeds then.
Yeah,
and but they were Division 2 at the time, and I was leaving Intermediate A, and I remember signing on a real cold day, like, for them, and I immediately just said, "What the hell have I done?" Because we went out and we were playing Guildford maybe the day later, and I was just coming back from the hernia. I was sore, it was cold, and I just said to myself, "What have I let myself in here?" Because you were playing at the park pitches, there's a big walk up from the change rooms there at Waves, and it was just a different world.
Yeah, it's a throwback for after all your hard work.
Big time. And it was just look, at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I loved it when I was at the Institute. And then that year, I remember going up in pre-season the following year with Institute, and they had asked me to do nets, and we had not got a decent team at all. But I done nets for a couple of pre-season games, enjoyed it, so stayed in them, and we got promoted that year. We signed a couple of good other players. We signed Gilgy, signed Gilberto. He had played at Loch Allen now. We signed him. We'd signed Derek Shaw had signed then again from Chris Kelly Chin. He was manager at Lurgan Town. He was my best mate at the Institute.
Yeah.
With a couple of good players, like Graham McCoy, Remy's son.
Aye, Remy was some player. I remember growing up watching him.
Top class.
And his son as well. His son was a good player.
Yeah, very, very good. And Stevie Turner up front, and then with Savo, what do you call him, Stephen Savage up front. And then you mix that in with a couple of headbangers. We ended up with a decent team that year, and we got promoted. But I ended up, I think we got the last 16 of the Irish or the Junior Cup, and we were knocked out in it. But we never really broke any Delph in any R Cup competitions. But because I'd played well, I ended up we got promoted, and I broke my hand. You must think I'm just a shatter man here, breaking bones. Aye, unbelievable. But I broke my hand with 2 games to go, and funny Chin broke his leg over Portadown, and we scraped through anyway. But Dungan Tigers won the league that year, and Mark Savage had been down watching a couple of our games. Who was assistant manager at Dallonstown at the time, and he says, "Look, are you going to come back? Are you going to sign?" He says, "We need a keeper." So got the street up, and I said no at the first time, and I ended up, I played another year at the Institute in Division 1, and we had the ding dongs with Hill Street, which were good. They were the best. They're the best games ever. Like no one will ever replace them there. And even Hill Street boys like them, the Street boys like them, because it's a good opportunity to kick a crap out of your mates. Like
exactly.
But they were really, really good, well supported games. That park would have been filled.
Rung. That's it. Rung. The pitch rang with people right around it.
Class. Yeah. It was really, really good. Like, and there was never love lost. There was no love lost whatsoever. Like, on that pitch, it was borderline hated it. And that's no word of a lie. Yeah. And I remember we started to share they let Hill Street into the Institute then, to drink out of it. And things just escalated. Like, there was diggings and stuff, and unbelievable. Like, it just went beyond football. Like, and but if you're looking back at it and you're going, flipping park football, like, you know, what the
Oh,
hell were we at, like? You're just young and stupid. But I ended up, I left there then. Niggsy was doing a great job, but Nigel McCann was the manager, the Stute at the time, and I said I would go out to Donalstown then, and I ended up went back out there, and we were I really enjoyed my second spell there. Like, you know, we had one of the best teams, you know, ever in intermediate football.
From strength to strength, big time, kicked on.
Massively, like, and it was just cup final after cup final, leagues after leagues, and then I remember we got stripped of the league one year, with Tandragee, centre forward there is playing for us at the minute, Lurgan Town, Ashley Gregg.
Very good player.
We mucked about with the signing of him.
Right.
Through no fault of our own. We thought we'd met a deadline, but apparently he wasn't able to sign, and Tandragee had picked up on this. And I remember I went on a stag do. I went on Chin Stag do to Magaluf, and my phone went. I was due to play that Saturday against Tandragee. I was expecting a big crowd because we hadn't been beat yet, and they hadn't been beat. We the only team that had beat them, and they had tapped in and said, you know, listen, we're putting a protest in. So this game was massive. You know, I remember turning up for that game, and it must have been 500 at it, easy. That's for an intermediate game. It was a lot. It was everything rode on that, like. But I remember him ringing me, like, I was sitting in the hotel room on the Friday morning, and he goes, like, are you going to be all right for this? And I says, well, I'm flying back tonight, like. I says, but I have a blister on my foot of sunburn, you know, on the thing. So it burst, and my foot wouldn't stop bleeding. But I remember thinking, how am I going to play here tomorrow? So I got on the plane and sat down, and this fella was sitting beside me, and I got talking to him. It was Jackie Fullerton.
Right.
you wouldn't write this, like, but we got talking to him anyway, like, and he says, I'm doing commentary in the Irish Cup final tomorrow, and we were playing on the same day. Maybe I think it was the Irish Cup final, or maybe the Irish Cup semi-final. But he says, I'm doing commentary and stuff. He says we know all about Donalstown, you know, because at the time Hubert had took it to the Court of Arbitration, you know, about the appeals and stuff, like. But he was sitting anyway, and because Stevie McBride was the manager at Tandragee at the time, he knew him well and stuff, like. And I'll never forget it, like, you know, he took my number down. He says, like, I'm going to ring you after this match on you know, tomorrow. He says, one let me know real time, you know, how you've done. And they're right enough. We had beat them 1-0. Simon Davison scored the winner, and we beat them. And I was sitting in the changing room, and Jackie Fullerton rang me. You know, well, how'd you go? But it was a withheld number. And he says, there's no number coming up on your screen, is there, Lee? You know, and I says, no, it says withheld. He says, oh, that's all right. He says, I'm ringing from my mate's phone, so he definitely didn't want me to have his number, like. And then boys would have tortured him that night, like. But it was a pity we lost the league that year, you know, and we ended up getting stripped of it, and we got stripped of a Premier Cup as well. But it was good. It was a successful time. They were a real great club, and you know, they deserve everything they get because it's a good family tight knit club out there, like. And the same people are there that were there from the pig farmers days and pig farming days, and they deserve every success they get, like, you know. There's still good people there, and I was good mates with Moff, Aaron Moffat, the captain, at the time, and I'm sure he's went on and won must be 15, 16 trophies at intermediate level and above, you know, your Bob Ratcliffe's and all intermediate cups and stuff like that, you know. So they earned it from the basics, like.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's as you build it, they will come type of thing. And
that's
like
it.
Year on year, the ground got better. You know, the facilities got better.
Yeah,
there was a real drive behind it.
Aye, and it is some setup, like, you know. And I just wish other clubs would aspire to, you know, go that way. Like, although saying that they don't have the checkbook that Hubert would have, like, but it is what it is, you know. They wanted it and they went and done it. And then after that, it was just a case of going back to the Institute, and I played there for a year or so, and then that was it, really. You know, there was no, started to lose sort of love for it at that stage then.
Yeah. So what age were you then at Institute before you hung the boots up?
I went to the Institute and I was maybe 33 at the time, but I had oil injuries and they were creeping up on me. And then I remember going up to Lurgan Town for a year to help Chin out.
Yeah.
And I remember we were playing Bourneview and over there, Pepperton Park, and I just said to myself, "What am I doing here?" I just had no love for it.
Yeah.
And you just know, at the time, and then I was getting involved in the coaching at the time, and that was my passion. I was being a player coach, and it was hard because I was making mistakes that I wouldn't normally have made, and it's hard for you to turn around and give a half-time team talk or a full-time dressing down, on the back of what a manager's saying if you've let the team down. So it was a case of, you know what, there's a good keeper coming through there, and young Taylor Boyce, and we'll give him a role. And that's what we've done. We invested in the younger players and I had no problem at all stepping aside. It was actually welcomed. I was
your time was up, yeah.
It was up, it was done. But I think it was 35. That's when I knocked it on the head. So I can't really complain. Oh no, I tell you, it was 34. Only a year there.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's take you through the rest of the fairy tale.
Yep.
Hi, so Lee, so how did you were assistant? You were saying there your mate Chris Kelly, is that right, for a few seasons, and then obviously you got the first team role. Or
he had what do you call it? He signalled to me. He says, "Listen, I think I'm stepping down at the end of the year. Would you fancy taking it?" And at the time, I was really enjoying the link being between, as assistant manager, being the link between the manager and the players. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that role because you could befriend, the mates, you could befriend the players, and you could befriend the manager as well. You were just the cog between, and players, if they're not playing, they'll not like the manager, and if they're playing, your manager's best mate, whereas you were that wee link, find out this, find out that, and I loved that part of it. And I was taking the training at the time. He was happy for me to take the training sessions, and I was loving it. And then he dropped the bombshell. He says he was going, so I ended up spoke to Nigel, the chairman, Johnson, and they'd be willing to take me on for it. So went in it open-minded, I knew we had a good team at the time, but I know what it needed. In my head, I knew what kind of needed. We needed to bring in youth players, and we needed to bring in players from outside the club, to give sort of a freshness to it. And that's what we've done. The first year I took it on, I think we went out. We signed 12 players, kept boys there, and boys were happy enough to make a transition to the reserve team who were in the thing, and it was such a good feel good factor around the club at the time. Everybody was singing off the same hymn sheet. It was top class. I really enjoyed it in the first year there, but it was a real baptism of fire. It's you definitely get your eyes open when you're running a team, and not just rocking up and taking train and then going home.
Mm-hmm. But all consuming.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Did you find that difficult? Because I've said before on Richie's podcast that I would never be a manager ever, because it must, at least with a player, if you lose a game at the weekend or you win a game, you kind of can forget about it. But especially if you lose a match, if you're a manager, you must be still stewing over it for days on end till the next game comes.
It ruins my week. I'm not even weighing up. And you see, if we get beat and we have a free week the next week, I am an imp for 2 weeks. It's awful, and that was the same as going into that there. It wasn't as bad when you were the assistant manager, because you knew he was feeling it a wee bit more, but I was still playing a wee bit. And to me, it was just, you were going up, practicing your coaching, and I was enjoying it regardless. But whenever you're, basically starting it all from, your training sessions from scratch, you're the one signing the players, you kind of get that feeling that all eyes are on you, which is not the case at all. They're just happy for you to be, bringing in and trying to improve the team. But you sort of, as there's no expectations or no pressure, but you kind of put it on yourself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And it definitely, it definitely is a different ball game being a football manager. It really is.
I suppose on the flip side, when you win a match, it probably is more satisfying than when you're a player, because you're thinking, well, that was my tactical change there, that was my inspirational substitution there.
No, you definitely do get a bit of self-satisfaction out of it, especially when you're, if you know, as a collective unit, you know, there's me, there's Stephen Beattie, who's a goalkeeping coach and quite a big voice in the management team, and Jeff Greenaway, who's the assistant there, and we all sing off the same hymn sheet, you know, with all the same thoughts, and it's just a real good connection that we have, and you know, we all feel the same. You know, if we're beat, we feel bad. If we win, it was a running joke in the first year when we were there. You know, you maybe two goals clear going into the last 5 minutes, and you turn around, oh, that's us out tonight again. Then, you know, that's us having pints tonight, like, you know. So, it definitely it's good when you're winning, but it's definitely a lonely place when you get beat. But see, to be fair, like, you know, bar the external cups against the big teams and stuff, we win our fair share, you know, and we always have done in intermediate B there. And we definitely, there's a decent team there, so we don't lose too many games. And definitely the good teams outweigh the bad by a lot, like, you know, so I can't really complain on that side of it.
Yeah, and in that first season, you know, apart from maybe the first couple of games of the season where he's had maybe a draw or maybe a few defeats, because I could remember he's went on an unbeaten run of about, must have been 14, 15 games.
It was 14
probably
or 15 games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we're actually playing Oxford, playing your guys' team down there.
Oh, you hammered us?
We were down there and we had a couple of players missing. Well, they were all away. They're all Befa Kings, like. They're all down the strip, loving it, like. And I remember going down there. It was actually, we beat them, and we beat Oxford in the return leg up at the arena, but they beat us. Oxford beat us 1-0 down that day, but at their spot, and it just felt different, you know, because we played the games, and we got served up the first 9 games of that season. First 9 games of that season were away from home because our pitch wasn't ready. It was like a real bad scorch, and they wouldn't. I don't know what was happening, like, but they wouldn't let us play on our home pitch. But we ended up playing the games anyway, but it just felt different when we turned in a performance, albeit we were beat. We sort of learned something about ourselves that day, you know, and then the penny dropped of what we were looking, and then we did go on a run. And I remember, like, we'd always still talk about this, you know, like that was a turning point, you know, when we played Oxford up at Lurgan Town that time. I actually scored a couple of goals, like, and I remember he scored a real class goal from about 30-35 yards out. But Kieran, Ryan, and all had been playing, you know, so we knew what to expect. You know, they were all, what do you call them, Oxford, they were always a good team, like, and it being a derby as well, like. But see, to be fair, like, the derbies, I would say, they're not really nasty derbies, you know, they're not really, it's just two good footballing teams always looking to play the football, but there's never any digging sessions, there's never nothing like anything real bad, you know, real bad needle, and it was just, I just knew then it would be us and Rectory who would be going for it then. And unfortunately, we lost out that year. I think it was 6 points we lost out on. And Oxford won it. And Rectory, then we played to him with maybe, I think it was 2 games to go. But if we would have won that, we're going into the last game needing a point. But we ended up, we lost up there to them, and boys were just heartbroken, you know, because they'd been on a run, and everybody in that changing room believed that we were going to go up that year because we were the informed team, and we got to them last couple of games, and then you started to see maybe it was pressure, you know, or a bit of non-belief, you know, the age, because they were a young team. Like, we were in that first year. We had an average age of maybe 21. I think it was 20 or 21. You know, the oldest player in the team was Ashley, who was 31 at the time. I think it was 31, yeah. And other than that, they were all pups, like, you know, 18, 19, and we just really enjoyed that. That was my favourite year in football. and that's being honest.
Yeah, and it was a brilliant first year, like in your first season and managing the first.
Definitely, it was so enjoyable. I had a couple of mishaps, with regards to people helping. At the start, Paul Mercer had come in, great guy and real good mate of mine, and he had come in, but family commitments had took over, and he just couldn't commit to it. So we went a couple of games without an assistant or even a first team coach. Just you need a couple of bodies on the line.
Yeah.
And ended up, the two boys were sitting right in front of me. They're two of my best mates, and they come in, and it just a wee snowball effect from then. It was really, really enjoyable. And there's nothing better when you're doing it than winning games with your mates.
Exactly.
And
then the second season was a bit of a write-off, I suppose, with
second season,
COVID, wasn't
it? We actually got real into our season that year, but it was St Mary's and Market Hill on ourselves who were going for it. And we had played St Mary's and Market Hill away from home, and they had still to play each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them still had to come to us. Now, obviously that year we didn't lose one game at home, so we were expected to, and to be fair, anytime we played them, we did play them off the park. When we had a real good team. I think we drew with St Mary's over there, I think we drew 1-1, maybe 2-2 with them, and we beat Market Hill. But the league stopped then, and they went to a points per game ratio.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up losing out, on a point on the league as it stood, which still kind of sits wrong with me because they still had to play each other, so one of them was going to drop points, and then the two of them still had to come to us,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like it's wrong of me to say, but some of the decisions at Ulster make, I don't know, I just can't get my head around it. Like, but
I don't think you're on your own. I know Paddy has voiced concerns about cup games and stuff that weren't played, and semi-finals and finals that weren't actually played were just pulled, where other teams got a chance to play them out.
It's ridiculous, like, and like, I'm sure there's plenty of teams with grapes there and stuff, like, but just we have one goal, and that was to try and get out of that intermediate B, because like Oxford would be able to tell you, they stayed a couple of years in it after dropping down, and I firmly believe it's the hardest league in Mid-Ulster because everybody wants to get to the intermediate A, and there's so many good teams in intermediate B trying to pull you back down. You see, if you hit that top spot at any stage in the season, there's definitely a target on your back, and they're all just pulling at each other, and then next thing you're scraping wee results here and there, and next thing they're on your tail again, and that was kind of the case. We hit the top a couple of times, but you're just pulled right back in again, and there is good players and good teams with good ambition, and like, so if Oxford have really went up and kicked on, you have to give credit to them, like.
As you say, the difficult bit's getting out of intermediate B first, and then
it's massive. It'd be, like a lot of our teams, that have played there in the last couple of seasons, the football that they play is more suited to intermediate A, and that's speaking from experience. It's not a dogfight that intermediate B is. Intermediate B is just an absolute dogfight. You're rocking up the pitches there. They're not in the same condition as maybe a Crewe or an Oxford's pitch. You're going up to, no disrespect to them, like of Ambassadors or Broomhedge. And you're turning around and Daisy's chewing straw beside you when you're warming up.
The helicopter's landed on the wrong field.
Waterlogged, and it's just
when your football pitch is, the address is Bog Road, it's never a good thing, like, is it? Many times is a game called off there.
I don't know. I think they play summer football, to be honest. Like, it's no point to get them in the winter in the fixtures. That's your bait. But no, it's definitely a league that we want.
It's a bit like the Championship, isn't it? In England, it's just so competitive. And then you've got two teams who, say you don't get promoted from Intermediate B, then you've got 2 strong teams dropping down from A on top of probably 6 or 7 strong teams already in Intermediate B. It's just, you're right.
Yeah,
it's tough.
There's times there that if a team wins Division 1 now, I think they've brought it into, they have to have their own facilities and stuff, so you can end up getting a decent team coming up from
that's right.
1. But it wasn't always the case. It was a case of a newly formed team, if they have their own facilities, bang, we'll fire them in the Intermediate B there, sure, they'll not mind. But everything, like there's this season there now coming, will be based on what Ballymacash do. If they don't win it and they don't win their playoff, there'll be 4 come down. You know, and it's very tight, like, you know. But it is what it is, you know. At the end of the day, it's just good to get the football going again, you know, after these 2 shitty years we've been through, like.
But again, still 2 good first seasons though. I know the second season is a bit frustrating, but
big time, you know. And at the end of the day, if we're looking at it, I've been there. This is my 4th year there, and we've only completed 2 full seasons.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it, people around the club, you know, saying, "Oh, well, it's 4 years, but it's 2 full years, you know." And them 2 full years mean a lot, you know. Whereas the other 2 seasons, you know, like that season there that it never got going at all. It was so demoralising. You getting instructions from the IFA of, oh, you're allowed to use cones, but you're not allowed balls. So you were turning up and you were doing Zoom sessions. First of all, you were turning up then your land, you're sanitizing cones, and it just got ridiculous. You know, you're allowed to use tennis balls, but you're not allowed to use footballs. I just says this is doing my head in. I learned so much that year. Like, you know, it was just a complete. It was a stress head. Like, you know, it really done my head in. Like, but it is what it is. You know, looking back, I can see why players throughout all teams were demoralised, because telling a football team to become a running club, you know, and standing 10 feet away from each other, you know, there's no football. To me, it's about socialising and, you know, that camaraderie, and to have them wedges put between you, you know, based on that. Obviously it was serious at the time, and it was a difficult period. It really was.
Imagine Gilberto and Ronaldo trying to communicate to each other then.
Could you imagine? I tell you, Barry would have been doing his nut.
And this season as well, you have still had a good season. It's just, I suppose, just been a couple of wee important games here and there, and you've just kind of missed out by just a win or 2 here probably would have done it.
That's it.
I know it's ifs, buts, and maybes, like, but still, you know, it's still.
At the end of the day, there were 6 points off it again, and points we dropped there this year on the road, and it's very unlike us. You know, we were beat there a couple of weeks ago by St. Patrick at home, and when we beat them 4-5 away, and we're really expecting. And I think we maybe took the eye off the ball, you know, with them coming to us, and thought it was a given, where that would have led to a showdown with Seago. But you can't lose 2 home games in a run-in and expect to, you know, anything to come out of it. And but losing away to Ambassadors and Maze, you know, we really let ourselves down in them games, like, as well. But you know, like you say, the season's not done yet, and we played some good football. We did, and we've signed some good players there, you know, and it is still a building process. You know, there's players have come and gone, but I think the penny's dropped with a whole load of them boys now. You know, that they're sick of, you know, the same routine of, oh, missing out here, missing out there. And I think you know, with these with 2 cups left, we're in a semi-final here on Saturday against Drumore, and you know, I can see a real hunger in our boys, you know, for it. And then we'll play Mindwell here in Marshall in 2 weeks' time. So like, anything can happen. Like, you know, at the end of the day, we just take a game at a time. Don't think that was the case maybe in the league. I think maybe we looked ahead of ourselves, and I don't think you can do that at any level.
But as you said, still 2 cups, and Alan Wilson, if that Richie, I think before Oxford got promoted, they won the Al Wilson Cup. Sometimes that can be just the catalyst to kind of go on and.
Well, that's
exactly
it.
And that's all it takes. That confidence builder, that justification by getting the cup, giving you confidence. You know where you're at, where you are.
Well, that's it. There, it seems to be, something like you're tapping into there. Oxford won it, and then they went up, and their Seago won it last year, and they've went up. So look, it's there's some good teams left in it. We played Drumore, who have signed good players. There's Ricky Copeland has signed for them. Chris Lindsay signed for them. Chris Lindsay's won everything in the Irish League, and that wee bit of experience and stuff comes along, helps a team a long way. And then in the other semi-final, you have Craigavon City and Seago, so one's the league winners and the other one's Craigavon City are a good team. They're a good team all year round. They're a good young, hungry team, and they never quit, so it's good. It looks like it's going to be a good cup, so we'll have to see how it goes.
We'll just take that opportunity, boys, just mentioning Craigavon City, just so hear the passing of John Cochran there only yesterday as well.
No,
so
I
condolences to them.
I found that out this morning there, and I was gutted to hear it. He was a lovely man, and I always would never ever stop. He'd give us fair bit of abuse, like.
Sure. They love the football just like ourselves.
100%, and just a real good guy. I remember talking to him a couple of months ago there in Sturdy Gordon's shop.
Yeah.
Just has a crack, he's just a real good, genuine football guy, like, and
that's it.
His son's a class player too, John there, and really, really good guy. And I texted him this morning and wished him and his family well. I'm gutted for them all, like, because he was really Mr. Craigavon City, like.
Oh, big time. What Craigavon City again, born out of a dream and a promise, and like they've come a long way as a club as well, and all on the back of the Cochrans and everything they do, like, so.
Definitely.
You'll be sorely missed, I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, Richie, we'll move on to the
brain busters,
which no doubt. I did tell you it was going to wreck your head. It's you nearly need it about 2 or 3 weeks to do it, and you're probably going to insult a few people and forget a few people.
Right, okay. I need to go into this here because
Well, I'll have you've got them wrote down. I'll call them out and you can shout them out.
Yes, no worries. Have I to go into any detail here, or do you just want
whatever suits you? You can tell us why.
Right. No what.
Right. So from the top then.
Yep.
So you can either do a quick fire or you can give us the backstory. So the best captain.
Best captain would have been Aaron Moffat at Donalstown. Class. Run through a brick wall for you, and real good all round guy.
Happy days. The best goal scorer?
Ashley Gregg. It's killing me to say that. But in his prime at Donalstown, scoring 50 plus goals in a year, it's not to be sniffed at.
No, definitely not. All right, best touch?
Best touch would have been Stevie Boyce. Boycey, brilliant player. He's the sort of fella who would have hit a drink on the Friday night, turned up, smoked about 10 cigarettes before a match, and went out and just looked like Pele. Top class, brilliant player.
And such a hangover. Gives you some confidence, huh?
such a guy. I remember he was cutting the garden there a couple of years back, and he slipped and hit the corner of the glass table. He took the eye out of himself.
Fucking hell.
I know, but just gets on with it. Actually has a glass eye, ridiculous. But yeah, next one.
Best keeper?
Well, I went for two here. Marty Murtagh, when I was at Donalstown, he got us through to many the late stages of cups, likes of Bomberstown. Dungannon he just played one-man performances, top class, and best at youth level was Foxy, Kieran Fox, different class, height and just presence. Best
defender?
Mark Savage, Vince, big part of the Donalstown team that was a really successful team. He's a good mate of mine. He's a Mackham, big Sunderland fan, so we're always at each other's throats. But class fella, great player, and has played at the highest level. He's closely followed by Dean Hawthorne, a great player.
Very good. All right, best midfielder?
Best midfielder would have been Andy Hamilton at Donalstown. He played Glenavon, Portadown, and real spiky, loved to tackle, and just got us up the pitch. Him and Hoffy were brilliant players, and I would say Andy Hamilton, very, very good. Hard to beat that.
All right, best striker?
Best striker, I would say Laziness with Ashley and Alan Wales. Two class players on their day. But fuck, can you get them running? No chance.
Minimum effort, maximum impact. I know a few boys like that. All right, best left foot?
Best left foot was Adam Walker, Mini. We called him out at Donalstown. Left wing back or left winger. Top class. Used to just a complete wand of a left foot. Boys were running into the box and they expect the ball in their head. There's no problem at all.
Yeah.
Pick players out.
The left foot's always a wand, isn't it?
It's big time.
Best right foot?
Graham McCoy. He'll probably give me abuse for picking him. He likes to tease, but yeah, dead on. Brilliant player and great right foot.
No make sure you tag all these boys when we share this.
Well, surely.
Best manager?
Best manager for motivation was Niggsy McCann, and for the technical side of it and success, Jackie.
Very good, very good. Player that loves a hard challenge?
Chris Kelly, Chin. Very, very good. Strong in the tackle and just sort of player that would have backed off 2 yards just to wait to smash.
To set him up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Our quickest player?
Richie Thompson, Donalstown. Never seen anything as quick. Young fella there we have at Lurgan Town there now, Timmy Milne. He'd be close to him with pace, but travelling with a ball this foot, Richie Thompson was another level.
Brilliant. All right, best all-round player?
All-round player, I went for Simon Davison. Davo, brilliant player. He played up front, he's played out wide, he played in the midfield, played at the back. Just a complete utility player. Captain a couple of times there for Donalstown, but just a top-class guy. Just loved the farming though. Could not, just a real typical farmer like who are, and brilliant.
All right, player that got better with age?
Gilgy, Simon Gilgerson, hell of a player, when he played for Loughgall and stuff. But I seen he done things there with the football when we were at the Institute and at Lurgan Town. He shouldn't be doing at that age, and he was just a class, a real good guy, and he's doing a great job there at Hill Street now as well.
Is that where he's still at Hill Street? Actually, I'd seen him on Thursday night there. That we're training down Lurgan Junior High.
Yeah.
Player who always gave 100%.
Glenn King and Alan Stokes, I would say. Stoker, Niggsy would always say at the Institute, just go on and make a nuisance of yourself, or when you're out here today, just give it 100%, and that's what he done. He left that thing about 4 stone heavier with sweat, just really put it out. And even Kingo, brilliant, top class player, just a crab, on the ball. Ball went from left to right and was just brilliant. He gave us all every game.
Brilliant. Well, I had you back to Tots.
Yes, no bother.
Is this the wheel of Burba, Richie?
Oh no, you nearly caught me off there. While I would get my facts.
Hold on. And actually this is named after Lurgan Town player. Sean Lavery.
Aye.
Yeah. We called him Burba. We spell Oxford Sunnyside for a few years.
I remember.
Because he didn't do any running, but
that was one of those guys I was thinking about. Minimum effort, maximum impact.
What a touch.
Oh, unbelievable player. Unreal. He was playing there at Lurgan Town when we were youth players. I think he went over to Leeds then. I think
That's
it was
right.
Leeds. And unbelievable. He was banging goals in there from the halfway line the whole lot.
Apologies. Hit the wrong effect.
Jesus.
You were kicked outside.
Do you think? The budget's tight, you see. Like,
I thought
as you haven't worked out.
The crow from below was coming up there.
Apologies. We were talking well about Sean there. Sorry.
Yes, we were doing well the whole night. That was the first time we haven't had a glitch, and now you've.
Brilliant. Right, so we're ready for the wheel of Burba.
We're ready.
Right, let's work. There you go.
Very happy.
That's a wee bit better. It's a wee easy one. I suppose me and Richie, two big Liverpool men, we are crapping ourselves about the match on Sunday. But what way do you think the league title's going to go, and why?
Well, what do you call it?
If you think it's going to be City, that's fair enough. Like, it's just.
I do.
What way do you think it's going to go?
I think City are a good team, but I just feel Liverpool's forward line is on another level, and they've done well to get them points back. You know, I'm looking at it going, they've clawed this amount back. You know, and what was it, 12 or 13 points they were clear at one point.
I think it was 14
Yeah,
or something like
14,
points.
yeah, generally.
So Klopp I like Klopp's style because it reminds me of the old Newcastle team. They were just flat out going attack. Whereas perhaps teams kind of pass the ball to death, don't they? Like, you know, is they try to look for that perfect goal, and that's okay. I suppose that's why he's one of the best managers in the world. There's no sense Lurgan Town manager trying to tell him what to do. Like, but I don't know. I just think in a one-off match, you know, whenever them two play each other, I just think Liverpool will eat them alive. But
Think so?
I think Liverpool will beat City. They're still to play City, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will beat them. Yeah, I think Liverpool will go and win the league. I'm not really sure.
I'm not as confident, I have to be honest.
I'm not really sure I can listen to the supporters like that. Istanbul on my head, and like that was enough for me 5 times, now it's 6 times. But I don't know. I have a soft spot for City. I like the football they play. I love watching Kevin De Bruyne play.
Aye,
class player. But I think Liverpool's forward line at the minute is just on our level, and that's one thing they don't have. They don't have anything up front, you know. Really, well, they have
still banging in the goals though.
I know they've wide men, but it's unbelievable that they're in that position with no out and out centre forward.
I know.
Yeah,
it's scary, you know. If they had blew the money on Kane, well, then I think we would be talking about a different situation.
Yeah.
Well, he seems to find a way without the number 9. It's
unbelievable. Yeah. But they're all comfortable on the ball, and that's just it. Like, you know, it's just to be in them teams, what?
And Lee, have you any special advice then for, just think if there's any guys coming towards the end of their careers, like myself, not that I'm thinking of going into management, but have you any tips for anybody that might be considering going into managing a reserve team, first team?
I would just
any words of wisdom.
I would definitely go into it open-minded, and not have a stubborn head. You know, as in it's your way or the highway. I learned that very early. You know, and I haven't been doing this very long myself. You know, at the end of the day, it's only been a couple of years. But one thing I've learned is if you're listening to other people, you know, they're not telling you for no reason. You know, they're giving you advice for a reason. And take it all on board. That's just it, and go and enjoy it. If you're on the moment you're not enjoying it, hit the eject button. That's it.
Yeah.
No, wise words.
And a special mention as well to another special football man in the town, Davy Greenaway.
Yeah, like say, took me back to Lurgan Town, and just an all-out great guy. The real infectious laugh, just loved the crack, and he actually brought me on with him to take the team then in the end. We ended up, he was the manager, as the assistant manager and stuff. We went over to Preston and stuff with the Lurgan Town team, won the Preston Cup and stuff, and he hadn't been well there for a long time, you know, with the illness and stuff, you know, for years, and it just caught up in him in the end. But you know, real lovely man. I don't think you could meet a nicer man in football, like, and that's me being honest, you know. And I'm not just shooting at their sort of stuff because that he's passed on, but it's not the case. He was a real one of a kind fella, and really highly thought of at our football club for one. But it wasn't even a case of, you know, the football side of it. There was a personal side of it as well. You know, you really did have a friend for life. You know, when you met him, he would never have passed you, always hello. And truth be told, you were never getting away from him for about 30-40 minutes. You know, stand talking to him. You know, he's just a top class guy, and he'll definitely be sorely missed.
Well, I think you're doing him proud. You're doing him proud at Lurgan Town, so fair play.
Oh, thank you.
And he'll be keeping away, I'm sure, in the match on Saturday, no doubt.
Yes.
So
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we won't leave it. We'll say last word is on Davy, as you say there. But Lee, listen, thanks for joining us. I'll say we'll be watching out for your results as the season comes. It's in the business end of the season now, and
big time.
Again, thanks for sharing your tale.
Appreciate that. Thanks a million, boys.
Be sure to share this and tag your mates and then let them get on board, you know, and anybody else you fancy or who you reckon might be up for a chat.
Yep.
Send them our way.
Not a worries, no problem.
as I say, that was a great chat, mate. I really appreciate it.
Super, not a problem. Thanks a million.
Good chatting to you.
Super,
and all the best Saturday.
Right,
all right.
Thanks a million, boys.
Right, best of luck for the rest of the season, mate.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Bye.
See you now, bye.